Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scotty.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 96 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. For the last 3 weeks I've been without my sidekick, but he's back this week. The return of Ayaz. Ayaz, welcome back to the show. I've missed you, the listeners have missed you. We've had some capable guests in the meantime, but it just has not been the same. Welcome back, how you doing?
I'm good, Joe. How are you? It feels good to be back as well.
It's good to have you back. How was New York, by the way?
Oh, New York is great. Boxing in New York, everyone loves boxing.
Yeah? And you watched a few fights that you actually watched PBC on the TV, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Oh yes, definitely. Yeah, I watched PBC. It's a free to air channel.
Yeah.
So I was watching a bit of boxing there on PBC.
Okay, man, all good. You was flying the BoxHard flag in New York then, yeah, Ayaz?
But yes, definite. Around Times Square. BoxHard Podcast. Follow BoxHard Podcast.
Good man. Right. Okay, let's get on with the show. It's the two usual suspects. We're back in town here. Right. Episode 96, as I said, it's going to be a little bit different. There wasn't too much going on last week in terms of action. There wasn't too much boxing last week, and there's not too much boxing this week. So part one, we're going to do the review part of the show. There's a couple of fights really to mention. That's it. And then we're going to bring in the news, and then we're going to bring in guest number one. Guest number one is the son of former heavyweight world champion. You probably know already who that is, but yeah, it's a son of a former heavyweight world champion. He's also a boxer himself, a very good up-and-coming prospect. And the second guest, obviously, after the preview part of the show, the second guest is a man that's been on this show many times. So it's an all-American show once again. Ayaz is back from New York. We got two American boxers on. Last week, Ayaz was in New York. We had another two American boxers on, both from Philly last week. This week it's again an all-American show, so we're going to start with the reviewing from last week. There wasn't too much to mention, as I said. There was one fight that happened over in the Arena Oasis in Cancun, Mexico. One fight to mention really on this bill. At lightweight, Yuriorkis Gamboa, 26-2, got in there against a man called Alexis Reyes. Alexis Reyes had a record of 15-2 with one draw. Now, Alexis Reyes, he'd lost two of his previous 6 fights. He'd obviously not fought on the same level as Yuriorkis Gamboa. And a lot of people would say that Gamboa's really kind of, he's in a bad place really in terms of his career. Well, he managed to pick up the W, but it was a majority decision over 10 rounds. So one judge gave it, well, two judges actually gave it to Gamboa by 1 point. It was 95-94 in favour of Gamboa. And the other judge saw it a draw, obviously, 94-94 he gave it. So, very lucky there to pick up the win. Maybe he just got it because of his name, but, very, very, very close fight. Way too close for somebody of the calibre of Yuriorkis Gamboa. So, really disappointing stuff there. And also, a fight that happened earlier this week on the Tuesday, a huge upset over in the Shimazu Arena in Kyoto, Japan. The defending champion, Shinsuke Yamanaka, I'm probably saying his first name wrong. Anyway, his record was 27-0 with 2 draws going into his world title defense of his WBC World Bantamweight title. He took on Luis Neri, Mexican's very own prospect. He's 23-0, good fighter. Some people have actually got Yamanaka on their pound-for-pound lists, before this fight was made. And here, Luis Neri, 23-0, picks up the win, a 4th round TKO victory for him. When you saw the two boxers together, Neri just looked about 2 or 3 weight classes up. He was absolutely huge, stood next to the champion, and he was too big, he was too strong, he overwhelmed him, and as I say, got the stoppage. But that's a really, really huge upset and a really, really huge win, a real impressive victory there, especially to not only to beat Yamanaka in his home, in his home turf, but actually to stop him. And as early as the 4th round, it was all one way in that fight. So Yamanaka loses his belt, racks up his first loss now, 27-0. going into the fight now 27-1. He's got 2 draws as well, and the new champion, as I said, Mexico's very own Luis Neri, now 24-0, the new WBC World Bantamweight champion. So yeah, that shakes up that division a little bit there. And that's really it for the reviewing. As I said, just 2 fights to mention from last week. As I said, there wasn't too much action. So it's now time for the news. We're going to bring in Ayaz. As I said, we've missed him, but he's back with the latest boxing news from this week. Ayaz.
Yes. Sugar Shane Mosley has retired from boxing.
Yes, obviously we all know Sugar Shane. It was a pleasure to meet him when I met him a couple of years ago at the McGregor gym. A really, really nice guy outside of the ring, a really, really dangerous fighter inside of the ring, a definite Hall of Famer. We were saying on last week's show, I think it was, that 3 guys have retired in 1 week, and last week when we mentioned those guys, Tim Bradley, Vladimir Klitschko and Juan Manuel Marquez, they're all top fighters. This man, he's certainly in the same league as those guys. Arguably, one of the front runners out of the 4 in total just mentioned there. Shane Mosley, again, one of those guys that had a really good career at welterweight, just like Marquez and Bradley. Just some of the fights he's been in. If you look at his resume, he's got one of the best resumes. An absolutely phenomenal fighter was Shane Mosley. We saw him in the ring last time out against David Avanesian. I remember having him on the show just before that fight, and David Avanesian ended up winning that fight. Really, really impressive win. But before that, Mosley had 2 knockout wins in a row, following his comeback to boxing, because he was, I think he might have retired or he was away for almost 2 years, returned to the ring, got 2 knockouts, come up against Avanesian for the world title, the interim world title, and lost that fight. And it's just come over a year now. I think it's about 14 months since that loss to Avanesian, and he's decided to call it a day. I think it's probably the right time. He had 60 fights, winning 49 of those, 41 by knockout. He lost 10 fights, 1 time he was stopped in total, and 1 draw on the resume as well. But yeah, this man, if you don't know too much about Shane Mosley, I'll be quite surprised. But this man took on pretty much everybody, never ducked anyone, a real exciting fighter. Took on the likes of Canelo, took on the likes of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather. He hit Floyd Mayweather arguably with the best shot that anybody's hit Floyd Mayweather with in a professional ring. He shared the ring with former world champion Sergio Mora, Antonio Margarito, obviously the fights with Mayorga, Miguel Cotto, Luis Collazo, Fernando Vargas twice. This man, he just shared the ring with everybody. Oscar De La Hoya, Vernon Forrest, Winky Wright's on his record. It's an absolutely unbelievable resume. And we, once again in this month we've lost another great, but it's because they've retired. It's not because they've passed away or anything tragic like that. So good time to walk away from the sport. But again, the welterweight division takes a bit of a hide in there. 3 top welterweights all retiring in the space of about 10-15 days, something like that. But all the very best to Sugar Shane Mosley, a phenomenal fighter. And to go back and look at some of his fights is it's never ever a chore. And I'd certainly do that. If you're listening to this, try and watch some of that man's fights. He was in some real wars. He always gave it his all, and like I say, never ducked a single soul at any point of his career.
British cruiserweight Isaac Chamberlain is sparring with WBO World Cruiserweight Champion Alexander Usyk in Ukraine.
Yes, Alexander Usyk. Isaac's gone over there. Obviously, we all know Isaac's a friend of the show, friend of mine. He's gone over there to help him out in his preparation against. He's taking on Marco Huck, isn't he, in the Cruiserweight World Boxing Super Series tournament. So, yeah, they've picked him to come over and help spar, which is really good. Obviously, you got the likes of Lawrence Okoli, for example, who, again, don't take this the wrong way. I really like Lawrence Okoli. He's a very exciting boxer. He's a more exciting boxer than Isaac Chamberlain, let's be completely honest. But he's knocking over all these people. He's creating a lot of hype. Isaac Chamberlain's pretty happy to kind of, I don't want to say sit in his shadows, but he's the one who keeps his mouth quiet, doesn't, really I don't want to say perform, because he does perform, but he doesn't really need the showcase knockouts. He's just a man that has got his head down. He's very focused, he's very dedicated, and he's learning. He's been away with Wilder, he's sparred Joshua. You know, he's now away in Ukraine in the middle of nowhere, helping out in this training camp, and it's just, you know, it's brilliant stuff. He's just soaking it all up. He really, really is, and you know, he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the future, as I've said a few times on this show. Really exciting future has Isaac Chamberlain got, for sure.
Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor, both were boxing 8 ounces gloves.
Yeah, obviously it's come out, I think it was just yesterday, it's come out that, they're going to be wearing 8-ounce gloves, which is absolutely unheard of. It's usually 10-ounce gloves of a certain weight category. Obviously, the smaller guys can wear 8-ounce, and if you're above a certain weight, it's got to be 10. It's crazy. They're bending the rules simply because it's Floyd Mayweather. It's terrible stuff, really. But I don't really know who gets the advantage in this one. I think that Mayweather's obviously going to be probably looking for the knockout. I'm guessing it'll be quite shocking if it goes the distance. Really, I think that's a bad performance from Mayweather, even if he shuts him out. To actually let an MMA fighter 0-0 his record, obviously, in the boxing ring, to go the distance with one of the all-time greats, that'd be terrible. So yeah, maybe he's just preparing for that knockout, trying to give himself a little bit of an edge. But also for those people that think Conor McGregor's got this, unbelievable power, I suppose they're happy about it as well. So everybody's quite happy with it. But in terms of actually the fact that the Nevada State Athletic Commission are allowing this, it's a bit dodgy. But it is what it is.
American Robert Byrd has been selected as the referee for the Floyd Mayweather vs Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, Robert Byrd's a man with enormous intelligence, enormous experience in the boxing ring. If you actually go and look, he's been refereeing. He's one of the most experienced referees in world boxing, if not the most experienced guy. He's been refereeing for something like years and years and years and years. Like, I can't remember now, but I remember looking back at like some of the fights he's refereed, like back in, I'm sure it was back in, like, I want to say, I don't even know, like 40 years ago. I'm sure he's been a ref for over 40 years. I could be mistaken, but I'm sure he's been reffing for over 40 years. So, that's unbelievable. So, yeah, he's the right man. He's the right man for the job, I suppose. But again, I don't really feel like it's going to be such a competitive kind of fight. But yeah, I suppose a good referee for, certainly, we should certainly get a good referee for this circus of a fight.
Yep, and finally, the judges have been confirmed as Bert Clement, Dave Moratti, and Guido Cavalieri as chosen by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for the Floyd Mayweather vs Conor McGregor fight.
Yeah, as I say, I don't really see it going the distance, I don't think. So we may not need those judges, but it's obviously big news. We've got to tell you guys that the referee's important, the judges are important, the glove size is important. It's obviously big news. So take of that what you will.
That's it for the news.
Okay, my friend. Thank you very much for that. Right, that's it with the reviewing. Only the 2 fights to mention, as I said. That's it with the news. It's now time to welcome, as I said, guest number 1. He's the son of a former heavyweight world champion. Let's bring in guest number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the undefeated heavyweight prospect, Hasim Rahman Jr. Hasim, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, it's my pleasure, my friend. So, Hasim, first things first, and I start a few boxing interviews like this. I want to ask you, how did you get into boxing in the very beginning? How old were you when you first put on a pair of gloves?
I probably was like 4 or 5, maybe not even 4 or 5 years old, maybe earlier than that when I had my first boxing gloves. But, I was brought up in the gym, obviously. I grew up in the gym. It's like a lifestyle to me. I really don't know anything else.
And obviously, there's many boxers in boxing. I've had many boxers on this show who are sons of former boxers like yourself. And most of the time, their father had retired from boxing by the time they were born. In your case, your father started his professional career when you were 3.5 years old. Was it kept a secret how your father was making a living at that time? What are the earliest memories you can remember?
The earliest memories I can remember are really from New York. When we were in New York, and my father he had gotten into some trouble back home. I don't remember the trouble part, but I remember being in New York. I remember Jeremy Williams and my dad going at it. It was a lot of other heavyweights up there, but Jeremy and my dad stood a head and shoulders above the rest. Like, they were, as far as talent-wise, I've been able to see talent my whole life. So, talent-wise, my dad and Jeremy definitely stood out above everybody else who was out there at the camp at that time. So, boxing, it really comes like walking to me.
And how old were you back then? When, like I say, your earliest your earliest memories of your father's.
I may have been 4, maybe 3.5, 4 years old, but I do still remember.
And were you allowed to watch his fights when he was still boxing?
Oh yeah, I've never not been able to watch a fight. I've always been able to watch my father fight. This is life and death when you get in there. So, it always could be the last punch that he took. Luckily, he got out of his career, with health and his great mind. So, we made it through one career. Now we're going through about 2 or 3 more.
Absolutely. And what was the first fight you remember of his? Like, watching, the first fight you remember watching of your father's?
First fight I remember. Okay, the first fight that really sticks out would be the Jeff Wooden fight. The Jeff Wooden fight would be probably about as far back as I could go. I think it was in 97. So I had to be about 6. And me and my brother went to the fight, and it was, we didn't get to go to the fights all the time, so we were excited that we got to go to this fight. And it was my little brother's birthday. And I believe they fought for the USBA heavyweight championship. So that's always been pretty special. He won that on my little brother's birthday.
Oh, brilliant stuff, man. Brilliant stuff. So when you turned 10, your father was the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Now, that must have been a cool thing going to school to be able to tell your friends about that.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool experience. My dad, he came to my school. He spoke to all the kids. We had a huge assembly. It was great. And then, it was even better when he became heavyweight champion again when I was in high school. So, there's incomparable. It's incomparable. You can't really compare normal childhood to my childhood because I was doing it with the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world.
Absolutely. Right, so let's get on to your career now. You turned pro earlier this year. You fought on April the 14th, and then 7 days later you fought again. You won both of those fights by first-round knockouts. Now, there's not too much to say about those fights, to be honest, seeing as they were over so quickly. Do you want to say anything about those fights at all for those that may have not seen them?
I mean, that's the goal. My goal is to get in there and do my job. My job is to win. If I can win in 40 seconds, I win in 40 seconds. If I can win in 20 seconds, I win in 20 seconds. The least amount of time that I'm in the ring is the least amount of damage I'm subjecting myself to. And that's something that my role models have instilled in me. You get in this sport to take the least amount of damage as possible. So if I can knock everybody out in the first round, I'm going to get them out of there early.
And as you said there, 40 seconds, that was how long it took you to make your debut. It only lasted 40 seconds, that fight, of course, before you knocked out your first opponent. Now, Hasim, am I allowed to bring up the Mayweather All-Access situation, or would you rather not talk about that?
I mean, we could talk about it, but it depends on how far you're trying to go.
Yeah, no, that's it. If I say anything that you go, that I'm happy for you to say, no, I'd rather not answer that. That's completely fine. So just to remind...
Yeah, we might as well. Go ahead.
No, go on.
Go ahead. I was waiting for you. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, just to remind our listeners on one of the all-access programs in the build-up to Floyd Mayweather versus Marcos Maidana, one of their fights. I think it was fight number 2, was it?
Yeah, it was the second one.
The second one, yeah. So in the build-up to that, they obviously did the all-access program, and our listeners will probably remember there was 2 amateurs fighting in the ring at the Mayweather boxing gym, and it appeared that Floyd Mayweather had made them fight till one of them quit, basically. The fight apparently lasted in excess of 30 minutes, and no fighter was allowed a rest during the fight. Now, correct me if I'm wrong about any of this in just a sec, Hasim. So Hasim's younger brother, Sharif, was one of the boxers in the ring, and it appeared that the other boxer was, it was a bit one-sided from what we saw on the program. It seemed like Hasim's younger brother was taking a bit of a beating from the other boxer, but once again, he was put in a position where he wasn't able to quit, so to speak. Have I got any of that wrong at all?
Sounds about right to me.
And obviously, after you'd heard what happened, you got to the gym and you wanted to basically, confront the other guy because you saw the whole situation as pretty wrong, and so did all the viewers, really, watching it from all over the world. What can you say, and what can you say about that whole situation?
I mean, what I could say is, there's been a lot of publicity on the situation. I've had a lot of feedback, both positive and negative. And, like you said, a lot of people seen it. So, it is what it is. I can't change any of it. I felt as though, my brother was harmed, and I went to, protect my brother. I always do that. I don't care what's going on with him. I always protect my family. That's what it is, PTF.
And Floyd has said a lot of it was for cameras and stuff like that. Did Floyd really make them fight for that long? And if so, does he do that kind of thing?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know what happened when I wasn't there. All I can speak on is, I love my brother, and if my brother's been home, I'm gonna be there for him. And that's in the pro fight, that's in the amateur fight, that's in sparring, that's whatever. If my brother's hurt, I'm gonna be there for my brother.
Yeah, of course. Now, I know that a lawsuit followed those events. What's the situation now with you and Floyd? Are you guys cool at all?
I haven't seen Floyd since I've been out of. I was sent to prison actually when the lawsuit started, and I didn't get out. I just got out. I haven't seen Floyd. I haven't talked to Floyd.
Okay. All right. Right, that stuff aside, you return to the ring in your third professional outing next Friday. You take on a man called Daniel Williams, if I'm not mistaken, who, like yourself, is 2-0. Do you know much about him at all?
I do my homework. So I know he's an MMA fighter. He has an extensive MMA background. That's pretty much all I know on him. He has an MMA background. He's had 2 professional boxing fights where he fought boxers, and he got the upset both times. So, and he has a knockout. So he has some power. He has some knockouts in the MMA world as well. He's supposed to be known more for his striking. So this is going to be a little preview of what Floyd's going to do to McGregor. I'll just put it like that.
Yeah, well said. And how many fights do you want to have by this time next year, Hasim?
This time next year, what's it, August?
Yeah, so
I look to be anywhere between 12 and 17 fights by this time next year.
12 and 17?
Yeah. So okay. I should have 12 more fights before next August.
So you'd like to fight ideally like once a month?
Once a month, sometimes twice a month.
Okay, cool. And a huge fight that's happening in September. Everybody that we speak to, we've got to ask them about this. What's your take on Canelo versus Triple G? A huge fight.
Huge fight for the sport of boxing. Huge fight for all the real, genuine boxing fans out there. I got Canelo. I like Canelo. I think Triple G already has a loss. I think that Canelo is a better boxer. And I don't think that Triple G is going to be able to catch him with that one-punch power. But that's what makes the fight so exciting. Is Triple G going to back Canelo up the whole time and score on effective aggression, or is Canelo going to use his defense and use his effective aggression and ring generalship and take control of the fight? So Canelo has one-punch knockout power too. So this fight could go either way. This is a very, very, very. I think Canelo being the underdog is kind of crazy, but I'm taking Canelo.
Yeah, I think many people are very split on it. Everybody that I speak to, no one's quite sure, to be honest. It's such an intriguing fight. It's such a brilliant fight. It's obviously
a great fight.
Hopefully, fight of the year afterwards. Now we've kind of whizzed through this. We've only got 1 or 2 questions left really now for you, Hasim. I want to ask you this: everybody that we speak to from the US mainly, I like to ask them who's their favourite UK fighter from any era. Now, a lot of people would actually say Lennox. A lot of people would actually say Lennox Lewis, but you may not want to say that. Who would you say?
Nah, Lennox for sure. Lennox, man. Lennox is the UK to me, man. I feel honored to be linked with this man. He's a legend in the sport. He is, in my eyes, I don't think anybody, any heavyweight at any time, any era would have beat him on the second time he fought my dad. I think my dad probably had the biggest chance. But, history was written as it was, and Lennox came out victorious. And I think that he is one of the most dangerous boxers of all time. And I definitely think he's the best heavyweight. He's the best. If you want to see a real live heavyweight, I think Lennox Lewis is your man.
Yeah.
Anytime, any era, Lennox Lewis. And then behind him, I will probably say Chris Eubank.
Okay. Lennox Lewis is a very popular answer, to be completely honest. We get that quite a lot, but the main one, and if you probably heard of him, but if you've seen some of his stuff, you're going to probably go, oh damn, I forgot he was British. Do you ever remember this is what the most popular answer? Do you ever remember Prince Naseem? There you go, you got it.
Yeah, Prince Naseem, of course. He's Muslim. He was one of my favorite champions of all time. And yeah. I did forget he was British. Honestly, I did forget he was British. I hope to see him. I got a little bit of news for you guys. They got me scheduled right now to fight in London. So hopefully I'll be coming over there pretty soon. Yeah, I'm supposed to fight on Frank Warren's card September 16th.
Oh, man. All right, I'm going to be at
Billy
that.
So
I'll see
no, not Billy. I'm sorry. Willie Monroe Jr. and what's his name?
Billy Joe Saunders.
Billy Joe Saunders. They fighting. There's a lot of great fights that night on that card, and right now I've been told I'm a part of it. We're just waiting on confirmation from Frank Warren. So once that's official, we'll be announcing it. But you guys heard it here first.
Oh, excellent, man! We always love an exclusive. Are you able to say who you could possibly be fighting yet, or do you want to leave that?
I'm not sure. I don't even know. If I say something right now, I'll be making it up.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I don't know who they got for me. Don't really matter. I feel like I'm prepared enough right now to fight anybody in my anybody within 10 fights. Anybody within 10 fights. So that's anybody up to 12 fights in the world.
Okay, well, it'd be great to have you over here. I should be at that, so I should get to see you, so that'd be very good. Right, anything that you want to tell our listeners at all before we let you go? The last thing now, really, Hasim.
Follow me as I chase history. There's never been a son of a heavyweight champion of the world to become heavyweight champion of the world. So that will be history in itself. Follow me, Hasim Rahman Jr. on all social media. And I love the UK. I can't wait to come. If not September, I'll be there before the end of the year. And it's just major love and support. That's what it takes in this game. So, support me. I support all you guys, all your champions. We're going to get it on. So I can't wait. Just support and follow, and I'm going to make this dream come true.
Excellent, my man. Massive respect. Okay, listen, Hasim, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for giving us a piece of your time. Best of luck next Friday, and we're going to catch up again very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, if you've listened before, it's the preview part where we preview the fights coming up this weekend. There's one big card to mention, and I think we should really start with that. Let's start with the card over in the Pinnacle Bank Arena in Lincoln, Nebraska, USA. So not in Omaha, but it's still in the state of Nebraska. We're going to start with the undercard. Obviously, Nicholas Waters was supposed to be on this card. He's not now going to be on that card. So, yeah, that's a bit of a shame, really. I wanted to see him fight after losing to Lomachenko. So let's start with a couple of the fights really on the undercard. It's actually got a really interesting undercard. We're going to start with former world champion Mike Alvarado, 37-4. Obviously, he's seen better days. His last 6 fights, he's only won 3. He's lost the other 3. He takes on a man called Sidney Sikera, who's 26-12 with 1 draw. But it's, you know, his last 6 fights were even worse. He's actually only won 2 of his last 6, and you know he's not fought at anywhere near the level that Mike Alvarado's fought at, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but it is what it is. Also on that bill, Shakur Stevenson, the very, very talented prospect. He's in a 6-rounder against a man called David Paz, who's got a record of 4-3 with 1 draw, so you know that should be a showcase victory for Shakur Stevenson, a really exciting young talent under the guidance of Andre Ward, of course. Also on that bill, a guest that was on last week's show, Bryant Jennings, 19-2, taking on Daniel Martz, 15-4 with 1 draw. It's an 8-rounder, that one, of course, at heavyweight. Daniel Martz, for those that don't know, he shared the ring once with Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker got rid of him inside the first round, so I'm not expecting too much from him, but obviously Bryant Jennings hasn't been in the ring for 20 months, as he reminded us last week. So it's going to be good to see him back in the ring. And of course, his arch rival Dillian Whyte also on this bill as well. I remember, you know, when they both met in London, Dillian Whyte had a lot to say. It was all a bit nasty, to be honest. Dillian Whyte, 20-1, takes on Malcolm Tan. Malcolm Tan, 24-5. Malcolm Tan's actually had 3 fights in the last 10 years. He decided to take a 9-year break from boxing. I'm not quite sure why, but yeah, he shouldn't really put up too much resistance. Dillian Whyte's going to probably look good stopping him, I'd imagine. That's an 8-rounder as well at heavyweight. Also on that bill, Mike Yes Indeed Reed. I remember having him on the show ages ago now. He's 22-0 at this stage of his career. He's fighting at welterweight against Robert Frankel, who's got a record of 35-17 with 1 draw. All the very best to Mike Reed. Also on the bill at light heavyweight, Alexander Gvozdyk fighting a man called Craig Baker. Craig Baker, 17-1. Decent fighter really, but you know, he's not going to be good enough for me against Gvozdyk, who's looking very, very good here. Of course, he puts his NABF light heavyweight title on the line as well. Gvozdyk, 13-0. Should be another win, and I'm also expecting something impressive from him. And now the main event, we've kind of whizzed through this card, as I said. You know, it's been shown on Sky as well, we should mention, over in the UK, so I'm looking forward to that. This one at super lightweight, Terence Crawford, 31-0, taking on Julius Indongo, 22-0. It is for the WBO and WBC World Super Lightweight titles, which are Terence Crawford's belts, and also the IBF and WBA Super World Super Lightweight titles, which are Julius Indongo's. So Indongo's got 2 titles, Crawford's got 2 titles. It's for all 4 pieces of silverware. We don't see this too often in boxing. It's a pure 100% unification. Winner takes all the belts. Both men undefeated. Somebody's O's got to go. Really, really intriguing fight. We're going to be speaking very shortly to a man that has just left camp with Terence Crawford. Just this week he's left Terence Crawford's camp, so we're going to talk about that with the guest coming up. Yeah, obviously Terence Crawford, you know, some people have got him in their pound for pound list. I'm one of those people as well. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. But again, even though we keep saying it about Julius Indongo to some extent is still an unknown quantity. Got that first round knockout against Edward Troyanovsky, took on Ricky Burns, who I've been saying for ages is well past it. Pretty much shut him out of that fight. A little bit hard to watch at times. He completely beat the living daylights out of Ricky Burns. You know, and we were kind of relying on Indongo to tire late in that fight, and he didn't tire late for me. I kind of felt that, you know, the engine was the only kind of chance that Ricky Burns had in that fight, because Ricky Burns has got a phenomenal engine, but Indongo didn't seem to tire, and certainly didn't seem to tire enough. The IBO world title was supposed to be on the line as well, but Indongo decided to not pay the fees for that. You can't really blame him. And obviously in the other corner, the phenomenal Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford, obviously a proven phenomenal fighter. The way he can just switch stance from southpaw to orthodox, and he can look 100% in both stances. Unbelievable fighter, really and truly. One of the most exciting fighters to watch. He seems to have it all. But again, we cannot overlook Ndongo. We just don't know how good he is yet for me. So really intriguing fight. I know that we're both going to side with Crawford, Ayaz, but you can't overlook Ndongo. He's a good fighter, man.
Oh yes, Ndongo's a very good fighter. But the thing is, right? We're seeing Crawford, in my opinion, the pound for pound. I reckon if I'm gonna go for a win, and how it's gonna happen, I'm gonna go for a Crawford winner on points, yeah. And I reckon if Crawford wins this fight, he's gonna move up to 147 after this fight.
Yeah, I think most people know that he's eyeing a move up to 147. He's just really waiting to prove he's the number one man at 140 if there was any more doubters. I don't think there is, though. But, Julius Ndongo's a tricky southpaw, man. I really like him. I wish both men the very best of luck. What a huge upset it would be for Ndongo. He fought over in Russia, beat Troyanovsky, fought over in Scotland, beat Ricky Burns. Now he's going over to Nebraska. Could you imagine what would happen if he beat Terence Crawford over there? It would be unbelievable. He'd actually go down. He'd get that famous list I've got, the fighter, not of the fighter of the year, but the fighter of the last 18 months. He'd have to be up there with a nomination of that. I like Ndongo though, man. I do. I know that he's been over there now for a couple of days, and the reception he got when he was doing a public workout, loads of people were coming in saying, easy work. Obviously fans of Bud Crawford, but yeah, a really good fight, man. That's all I can say about it. It's just, we love seeing these fights. Two undefeated guys, two legit world champions for all the marbles, man. You cannot complain about it. You cannot blame either guy. And, Ndongo deserves a big payday. I hope he's getting that in this fight here. And, may the best man win. But Crawford is a bit special, and I think he's going to showcase that in this fight. Usually puts on, a good performance in front of his fans. And, yeah, we will have to wait and see. But really intriguing stuff for Saturday night. Fantastic to have at least one card on. That's it for that, Bill. Moving over now to next Tuesday. So this will be Tuesday the 22nd. So next Tuesday. But of course, by the time we do the show next week, the results would have already come in. So let's preview this card here. This one's happening in Las Vegas, Nevada. The promoter of this card is Floyd Mayweather, despite he's fighting 4 days later himself. It's in Las Vegas, Nevada, the same place as he's fighting, obviously, but it's at the Sam's Town Hotel. A couple fights to mention on this, Bill. Former world champion Juan Carlos Payano, 18-1, takes on Alexis Santiago, 21-4 with one draw. That's a 10-rounder at bantamweight. Also on that, Bill, Ishe Smith, he's up at middleweight now. His record 29-8. He takes on a man called Paul Venezuela Jr., who's 20-5. Don't know too much about him. That's a 10-rounder there, of course, at middleweight. Ishe Smith's had a real tough time. He's had a real bad year. I think we've all heard about his I don't think it was his ex-wife, but I think it was the mother of a couple of his children. She was obviously randomly shot in the back of her head by a completely random attacker outside a shopping mall in America. She was sitting at a bench with headphones in, and someone comes straight up behind her with a shotgun and blew her head off. So horrific stuff for Ishe Smith, and we're behind him. That's unbelievable stuff. That for someone to go through an event like that is it's gut checking, especially for a man who has to be on his A game to provide for his family. If he's thinking about stuff like that and he ends up walking onto a punch, it could all be over for him. So very, very tough stuff to deal with when you're an athlete of that caliber, obviously a former world champion as well. Also on that bill at lightweight, Jamel Herring, 16-1. He's in a 10-rounder against Ladarius Miller, 13-1. We will be speaking to Jamel Herring very, very shortly. Saul Rodriguez is on the bill as well. His record 21-0 with one draw. His opponent yet to be announced. He's at lightweight as well. And the final fight to mention, his opponent's yet to be announced as well, but his record is 40 wins, 7 losses and 1 draw. Friend of the show, super lightweight from Britain, but the only British part of the Money team, it's of course Ashley Theophane. He gets out again. We wish him the very best of luck for next Tuesday. And that's really it with the preview. And we've done the reviewing. There was only 2 fights to mention, if you want to call that the reviewing. There was the news. Ayaz is back in town. There's been guest number 1. There's been the previewing. And now the final thing to do before we wrap up episode 96 is, of course, to welcome guest number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a dear friend of the show and also a lightweight prospect under the guidance of Al Heyman. It's, of course, Mr. Jamel Herring. Jamel, welcome back on the show once again.
Hey, man, it's great to be back, man. Great to be back.
It's great to have you back. So, Jamel, we last spoke in the build-up to your last fight. You ended up winning that fight because your opponent's corner stopped it after 3 rounds. I don't think I saw the fight. Could you just walk us through quickly what went down and how you performed?
I knew my opponent was a tough guy. He's never been stopped. So, I went out there with little cautious, started out boxing, and just feeling my way through the rounds. But once I seen that he had nothing to basically offer anything back in terms of a big threat, that's when I started taking a little bit more risk, started to break out, basically took him down to the body a lot in that fight, which made him basically keep his guard, bring his guard back down. And I just went body head, the second and third round, and then he never responded to the bell in the fourth, and he basically quit on the stool. And that's just how the story went.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Again, as you say there, to be the first man to stop him, really impressive stuff. Also, former opponent of yourself, obviously, Denis Shafikov. He just lost a fight a few weeks back now to a friend of yours, Robert Easter. A lot of people were saying that the scorecards were a little bit wide, but they thought the right man won. Were you surprised with the outcome at all? What did you make of it?
I was surprised with the scores. I'm not going to be biased. The scores are a little bit crazy, especially when I think 2 of the judges had it as a blowout. But I feel like the right man did win at the end of the day. I thought Robert did enough to win. I just thought it was a closer, more competitive fight than what the judges had basically displayed on paper. But even Robert had reached out to me afterwards and said that he gave Shafikov his respect. Said Shafikov was a tough guy. He really was. But like I said, the right man won. It's just that, the judges gave it a black eye in terms of the scoring.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're now fighting this coming Tuesday, the 22nd. If I'm not mistaken, Jamel, is it a Mayweather promotion show?
Yes, sir. It's a Mayweather card to basically start off the whole Mayweather-McGregor week. And that'll be the first card on broadcasting that week.
Yeah, because obviously it's a Tuesday night. You're going to be taking on Floyd Mayweather's young prospect, Linares Miller. What do you know about him, Jamel? It's a name that I'm not too familiar with, in all honesty.
He's a guy that I'm familiar with. He's also a southpaw. Nothing against him, anything like that. But this is basically more of a step up for him than me, of course. But I'm still going in there, taking it as a big fight, because a win is a win, and it can lead on to bigger things. But like I said, I feel like I'm basically his first real opponent. And as you see with me, I've been there with a couple of guys that that's had winning records, and basically some gave me something I can learn from. Even my defeat, Shafikov was a learning point in my career. But like I said, I'm still going in there, taking this fight seriously. I'm just trying to handle business and move on to the next thing.
And do you think this will be your last fight of this year?
I hope not. I really want to close out the end of the year with another fight, at least around November, hopefully. So, like I said, I know I have to go basically make a big impression with this fight. But like I said, I can't look past my opponent, and I just, take care of business here, and hopefully, look forward to something next afterwards.
So, Jamel, right now, currently, you're not ranked by any of the top 4 sanctioning bodies, but providing you get through this upcoming fight, what would you be looking for? Would you be looking for an all-American fight between yourself and another fellow American? Most of the best fighters, really.
It's funny that you said that.
Yeah, go on.
Because I'm more interested in Terry Flanagan, Felix Verdejo fight. I'm really I was disappointed that the fight couldn't go through as planned. Terry got injured. Hopefully he's recovering well. But that's the main fight that I'm not looking for the All-American fight right now, obviously, but like I said, that fight really interests me, and I'm just looking forward to the winner. I mean, obviously, I hope that my honest opinion, I hope that Flanagan can actually pull the win, because I would love to even come over to the UK and fight, because I love it out there. I had a great time the last couple of times I was out in the UK, so I don't mind going out to the UK for another fight, but that's one fight that really interests me right now.
Because I was going to just say that there's a lot of lightweights in America, and they're all from Ohio. Like, some of the best guys are from Ohio at lightweight. Obviously, yourself, Robert Easter, Ryan Martin, Raynell Williams coming up as well. All good fighters, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm close to all. It's crazy. I'm close to all of those guys. Ryan's a good friend of mine from the amateurs, of course. I've known Raynell for years as well. And like you said, you already know that I'm close with Robert especially. But like I said, my goal is to be basically like a true champion, and go and take a title from the champion, even if I have to go on their home turf.
I want to ask you about another fight. I know you said you're more kind of looking international for your next opponent if you get through this fight on Tuesday. But I do want to mention, I think a good clash of styles, and I could be wrong, because again, you're a nice guy. A lot of people like you, of course. You may be really good friends with this guy, but I'm going to throw it out there anyway. You and Hank Lundy, I like that fight.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
All right. Forget I said it.
Yeah, but that's a mention, in the past before. But like I said, me and Hank, we basically stayed with me for a while when he came to camp. That's how we got close. Man. But I know, like, we had a lot of wars and sparring and everything like that. But I respect Hank, and like I said, you never know with Hank anyway. Hank could be fighting 135 today and then 140 tomorrow. So
yeah,
you just never know with Hank, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of love for Hank. He's a bit crazy, but we do like him. I mean, when he was last on the show, when he was last on the show, he said, "Yeah, I'm a beast at 135, but I'm not turning down any fights if I get offered it at 147." So
yeah, exactly.
You just never know.
He's an old school Philadelphia fighter, and I got a lot of love and respect for him, and I just wish him the best of luck. I forgot to mention, I had basically came from camp from one of his recent opponents, which was Terrence Crawford. I've been out there working with Terrence Crawford the last six weeks, and that basically helped me a lot in terms of learning experience and confidence boost. And like I said, I'm real close with Terrence Crawford and his team and his camp out there, and I'm hoping they can pull out this. Well, I know for sure, in my belief, that he'll pull out this win this coming weekend. So I just wanted to point that out there.
Yeah, absolutely. As we're going to talk, just because you mentioned Terrence, now I've got to say, what did you make of his McGregor video? Did you see that?
Oh my God, he's a clown, man. He's a real clown. Like, Terrence is all business in the ring, but he can have fun outside the ring, and play around and joke. So I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I think everybody thought he did quite well. So 4 days after your fight, again, obviously the promoter of the card you're fighting on, Floyd Mayweather, he returns to the ring against Conor McGregor. I kind of feel like I shouldn't even be asking this question, but have you got any interest in that fight at all?
Honestly, not that really, to be honest with you. I just feel it's more entertainment than competitive at the end of the day. If anything, I'm more interested in the undercard bouts, like, Gervonta Davis, Badu Jack. I'm more interested in those fights, like, especially Badu Jack's fight about Nathan Cleverly, which I believe is a good fight. Probably one of the most competitive fights on the card, if you ask me. But like I said, the main event is more of entertainment, But I feel like I said, the Badu Jack Cleverly fight is going to be real competitive. I actually like Nathan. I think he's a good boxer. I also like Badu Jack as well. I feel like we don't know too much about Gervonta Davis as an opponent, but I feel like he'll successfully defend his title that night as well. So like I said, I'm gonna tune in as a fan, thinking. But like I said, my main the fight I'm really more interested in is the Jack Cleverly fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think that is probably the fight of the night in terms of, you know, the whole bill. That's the fight that attracts me the most to it. Another big fight, a true fight, and really and truly the best fight in world boxing at the moment. A couple weeks later, Triple G and Canelo. Everybody I speak to, I've got to get their opinion on it. How do you see that one going, Jamel?
At the beginning, I actually was leaning a lot towards Golovkin on this one, but as I'm watching how Canelo is training in Campbell's fight, you know, I'm giving him more of a chance to actually pull off something. But like I said, I'm still leaning towards Golovkin, but I don't see a knockout in this fight, anything like that. You know, you'll be lucky if you even see anybody get hurt, but I don't think everybody's gonna, like, some people feel that like just blow past and knock him out. But I don't think that he can pull it off for Canelo. Canelo's a tough guy. Great boxing pedigree. Real fast and sharp. You know, he's not as fast on his feet, but when he lets his hands go, you know, he has great speed and combination. So we'll just have to see what you know, how Golovkin can deal with that. But I know, like, Golovkin's really motivated for this fight. It's the fight he's been asking for the last couple of years. So that's a fight, you know, that's like more of a toss-up to me now. You know? So I'm really interested in seeing that matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if I'm not mistaken, Jamel, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think before you told me that you're a little bit of a fan of Luke Campbell, or have I got that awfully wrong?
Yeah, I respect Luke. I actually came to his defense when the fight was announced between him and Jorge Linares not too long ago on I believe it was Twitter, because people felt like you know, yes, we all know Jorge Linares is very skillful, strong, and sharp, but I feel like, you know, Luke is he know he get himself into. Actually, Luke had options. You know, he was also the #1 mandatory to Mikey Garcia. You know, the Mikey Garcia title as well, and you know, his team decided to go with Linares, who's basically the lineal champion of the division. So you got to give Luke respect for that. I give him a fighting chance. You know, anybody has a chance in the sport. You know, that's why we have things called upsets. But you know, I wish him the best of luck. You know, maybe, you know, depending on how this fight goes, maybe that could be a potential, you know what I'm saying, fight in the future. But like I said, I wish him all the best of luck. And like I said, Jorge Linares, not taking on the phone, he's a great fighter as well. But, you know, this could be the passing of the torch. You never know. I mean, Anthony Joshua did it with Vladimir Klitschko, so you just may never know. Yeah,
it's a strange one. I mean, most people over here, because, you know, it's funny with the UK fans, because some fans from different countries, I'm not going to point the finger at any one nation, but some fans get behind their fighter and literally say, you know, he's going to win. For example, I will say there's a lot of Irish people who believe that McGregor's going to knock Mayweather out and stuff like that. But over here in the UK, they're quite, I don't know, the fans are quite, they know boxing. That's what I will say. So a lot of people over here, even though it would be nice to get behind Luke Campbell, a lot of people over here are actually saying, no, he's got no chance in this fight. Obviously, you know.
And I mean, and I can understand that, because most who actually, like I said, who know boxing, they say it's not because they don't feel Luke is good. They just feel that the timing is wrong at times, and you know, Luke just needs more experience. And I can agree to those things. So I can understand, even when people, you know what I'm saying, who are not biased and they just giving it to you how they feel about it. So I can you know, see, you know, why they would pick, you know, Linares over Campbell. Like I said, I'm not counting him out. You know, like I said, Linares has obviously the great experience. He's fought all over the world. He's fought, you know, great fighters, you know, just as good as him as well. So like I said, it's a big step up. Like I said, Luke had options, but he went with the lineal champion of the world, and you can't be mad at him about that. So I give him all the respect in the world for that.
Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. He's obviously, Linares is from Venezuela, but he lives in Japan, and I think he recently just moved to the UK. He's training over here at the moment.
Yeah,
Campbell,
he's a globetrotter.
Yeah, and Campbell, obviously from the UK, but he trains in Florida, and for some reason the fight's happening randomly in Inglewood. It doesn't make much sense to me, but
I didn't think that either. I didn't get the whole what are they aiming at in terms of like throwing the fight? It was just like everywhere, like But I was saying the same thing. I was wondering myself, and you just gave me the answer. I was like, is Luke still training in Florida? Or like, you know,
it's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
It is crazy, but that's boxing for you. Right. That's it from me, really, Jamel. Is there anything else you want to add just before we let you go at all?
I just want to say, thank you for having me on again. It was great talking to you, man. And, people they know how to reach me at Twitter and Instagram at Jamel Herring, one word. And, like I said, I look forward to speaking to you after Tuesday. So, like I said, I feel like, great things have come with a victory here for me. So I'm just, really excited just to get the ball rolling. And like I said, hopefully after this, after this fight, I can get potentially ranked at finally in one of these sanctioned bodies. But, like I said, my eyes are set on the Flanagan Vidal fight whenever they decide to make it. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Okay, listen, my friend, it's always a pleasure speaking to you. You know that. Best of luck for next Tuesday, and we're going to catch up sometime after for sure.
All right, man. Take it easy, man.
Okay, this wraps up episode 96 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. A big thank you to our two guests on this week's show. The son of a legend, but very much a top prospect in his own right, Hasim Rahman Jr. And of course, one of boxing's true nice guys, the former Marine turned boxer, Jamel Herring. As always, it's been a pleasure creating this audio boxing show for all of you. Please like, please retweet, please share, please comment, and please leave us a review if you get a chance on iTunes. It means a lot. We'll be back next week with another big show. As always, until next time, thanks for listening.